Hello! When we talk about the Yokai Watch games having the Professor Oak's Challenge rule set applied to them, people mainly refer to the mainline games in my comments. You know, the ones that are actually numbered. However, I'm actually going to tackle a somewhat spin-off game in the series. A Ghostbusters knockoff named Yokai Watch Blasters. For some background info, Yokai Watch Blasters, Red Cat Core, and White Dog Squad were released on the Nintendo 3DS in July of 2015 in Japan, with international releases in 2018. These games are based on the side mode introduced in Yokai Watch 2, Yokai Watch Blasters, and its revamped Yokai Watch Psychic Blasters, unlocked after beating Gutsy Bones. This game plays very differently from the traditional Yokai Watch formula, where this game is an action RPG instead of a traditional RPG, meaning that this is going to be played completely differently from what we're used to seeing in the series. But I think it's going to be interesting, and while I hated these games going into it, I ended up having a lot of fun most of the time when playing after. While these games are a bit expensive, they're still a lot of fun to play through, albeit very grinding. So now that we have background info, it's time to talk a bit about the specifics for this run. Firstly, for the first time in the series, I made the quote-unquote guide that I usually do in the description color-coded based on the version, alongside the total for each section, if there were different yokai in each. Which leads me to the next thing, the version. For this, it actually does kind of matter, depending on how smooth sailing you want the run to be, as Red Cat Core does have an advantage of certain equipment and yokai that they can take advantage of. However, I believe White Dog Squad is the best version here, for reasons I'll discuss later. One more thing though, we have rules to go over, and things have definitely been added to this version. So, without further ado, here are the rules to this challenge. 1. Each section is each boss in the medallion. 2. Cricket yokai are fair game. 3. Street Pass isn't allowed. 4. Glitches that speed up the process are fair game except ones that let you get yokai earlier than intended. 5. Yokai gotten through just having another game are fair game. 6. DLC yokai and linking are fair game. 7. Playing with others is not allowed. This is a solo challenge. And last but not least, 8. The hacked QR codes rule. This one I'll be more specific about later on when we get to that point, but basically I'm not allowed to use hacked QR codes that can't give me the items that I can't have through QR codes originally. So like, if I scan a hacked red QR code, that's red coin QR code, that's fair game. But if I scan one for, let's say, a Shogunyan coin, that is not fair game. And with all of that out of the way, let's jump right into it. I start my journey off by naming myself A to the power of shaded and triangle. I don't know, because it's funny. Something to note before we continue is that we started the save file directly off of the Moon Rabbit Crew portion, which is a free content update to the game that basically adds the definitive version for free. But unlike Yokai Watch 2, version exclusives are actually available throughout the run. Not to mention, Moon Rabbit Crew has its own exclusives as well. Moving on though, we can learn about Terror Time. Yes, just when you thought that we didn't have it enough in the last game, they made a whole game out of the shitty fucking Terror Time in 2. This is great. But we mainly learn about the Yokai Watch Blasters, who are yokai who, quote, protect the peace and harmony of the human world. This team runs over to Gargaros before running away like the pussies they are. See, even Gargaros is surprised. We then see Sergeant Burley make his way into the Blasters house before Whisper tells the team about his disappointment. The yokai on the Blasters team we're playing on are Jibanyan, Sandmeth, No Way, and Hyderabad. We then get introduced to Blizzy, who calls the team lame, which leads to Sergeant Burley bursting out of the ceiling, crushing Whisper. He then becomes captain and fires Whisper from Team Whisper, before making us go through missions and assigns Whisper to be the driver of the Blasters mobile. Before that though, we can talk to a new yokai introduced in this game who snuck in alongside Burley, Usapyan. He has a quiz for us that we can get a lucky Cranket coin from, which is very much necessary. But for the missions, basically, instead of moving around the maps like normal, we have to roam via missions and do set objectives in them. sort of like more action-based requests. Before that though, we have to talk to Happy Air, who teaches us about roles and yokai teams. Speaking of which, we get to officially add 4 to the total, since we have Jibanyan, Noe, Sanma, and Hydabat. The first 2 missions have no befriendable yokai however, so we're good there. They just teach us the basics. But the third mission is actually incredibly important for this challenge, as it introduces the befriending mechanics. So, instead of throwing food, we just beat the yokai and pray to RNGesus until we get them. Yes, this is all we can do. However, we have to befriend Popsicle first, for later. I can also get Hungramps and Squeaky. When we return, Lizzie gives us a very useful app for this challenge, the Yokai Circles app. This app is important as there are exclusive yokai in this mechanic. Basically, you just collect a group of yokai that a challenge wants and, in turn, you get a reward. I'll mention when we unlock ones that we need, as they are important for the entirety of this challenge. Then we get to learn about making equipment at Dimmy's shop. I didn't mention this earlier, but we saved Dimmy in the second mission and he'd let us buy things. But we won't be. Boss Signaton, on the other hand, is the yokai we'll be buying stuff from, as he makes equipment that will be very, very necessary. The next mission is the last of the chapter, easy to find, where I can get Wazap, Cough Cough, Kaden, Terrapoda, and Snotsalon. In this mission, we have to find 3 items. Once we do, we find out that Komasan is in trouble. After saving him, we run into an encounter with Gargaros, who we can't beat. And that's the first chapter. The next chapter though, we have to actually fight a boss. Gee, I wonder who. After returning, Komasan tells us that he wants to join our team, adding him to the total. After training, Sergeant Burley asks if we are a part of the Red Cat Corps or White Dog Squad, only to be asked what that is. So he makes us go to YBA Hall, where Bujanyan is giving a performance. We go up to him and we get assigned to be a part of the White Dog Squad. Gee, I wonder why. He hands us the White Dog E-Wolf, which we won't be using for a long time. We go to Sergeant Burley, who tells us about the ranking up on each floor, before sending us to the Wayfarer Coliseum. This time around, the Wayfarer portion will be used, but it's still in single player mode, so it's okay. Single player mode? I'm too much in the take, I'm not even gonna cut that out, that's pretty funny. Single player mode. Burley tells us that our next mission is in Blossom Heights, which is at the hot springs, where other yokai are causing people to catch colds. We beat them and can also add Boohoo and Droplet to the total. Afterwards, Burley tells us about side missions, which are important for this challenge, but first, we can access KJ on the 3rd floor, who allows us to play songs for missions that boost certain stats. Then it becomes yokai hunting time. The story to these side missions, and in general, all the other missions, aren't really important or really interesting, so I'll gloss over the majority of them unless there's something interesting, important, or its story progression. Moving on though, we can unlock Mr. Zen because of befriending yokai. He allows us to crucify our yokai, which is very important for the run. In the mission, Trouble in Residential Areas, I can get Snaggly, Bushido, Ruffraff, Broken Bella, Leodoni, and a first prize reward of Wonston. To explain Wonston here, in each mission there are prizes that are determined at random. For some yokai, we need to get them this way or it's an option for them. We need to keep track of these throughout the run. Continuing the story though, Rith says that Wiglin never returned back from the hot springs, and we completely ignore that for the remaining side missions. In a difficult quarrel, I can get Legly, Herbalboy, and a first prize reward for Dumbcap. And in Collect Damp Towels, I can get Mangy Mutt, Dimmy, Lion, Tawana, and a first prize reward for Fish Pickable. Continuing the story, we follow Rith to find a bunch of Wiglin trying to attack her. Once we make it to the hot springs, a giant Wiglin appears and we destroy him. After that, he transforms into a regular Wiglin, and he tells us that Spoink is causing people to stay in the hot springs. Before fighting Spoink though, I can get Wiglin and Steppa as first prize rewards for the mission. Something to note about prizes is that depending on your version, you're more likely to get certain prizes, because there are 2 for each prize for the majority of the missions. And believe it or not, this is it for the section. You might be asking about evolutions, and unfortunately for me, we can't evolve any yokai through fusion and even regular evolution. This is because you evolve and fuse through Coach Naked-Speed, who refuses to let you do both until later on. So thankfully, we don't have to here. So, I finished this section with a total of 31 yokai and a time of 8 hours and 50 minutes. Yeah, that's seriously everything. But enjoy this for now, because oh boy, will it get worse. Also, as a note, we can complete a yokai circle here, which actually displays unique dialogue as we can't claim the reward yet, which is actually pretty cool. The next mission is the boss of the section, Sproink, who hops right off of the hot springs to annoy us all. Sucks for him though, we enjoy Sproink around these parts. We easily destroy Sproink, because for some reason, they made Chabanyan actually really fucking good in this game for some reason. We follow him to the hot springs, where we get to see a performance with professionals on the side, because this was clearly choreographed. What he should have done was invest his points into levels. Bro should not be this easy. Anyways, after informing Rith about beating Sproink, we get to see a chapter cutscene of the introduction to KJ. Not like we had that before. And he might get taken by a boss. Gee, wonder who. We learn that the dancing trio are now faculty members, who are incredibly important, each of them. Also, we unlock the fucking Crankakai on the roof. Yeah, now we got that monstrosity to take care of in this section. But I'll explain all of that chaos later on. We also get introduced to Sergeant Slug. Basically, Burley's second in command. Sergeant Slug gets the idea to go patrolling in downtown Springdale, which is actually important. But before that, we can claim the rewards for linking with all 3 Yokai Watch 2 games to get the respective donuts for later, as well as get the DLC bells and scan a whole bunch of QR codes, and type in a bunch of passwords. Burley realizes that we have the Emperor's Scroll and lets us unlock true challenge missions much earlier than intended. True challenge missions offer the best way to grind for Oni Orbs, which, if you remember from Terror Time in the last game, are collectibles that have been turned into currency this time around. The Oni Orb hunts in the true challenge missions are the best way to grind Oni Orbs for the rest of the game. But continuing the story, we patrol around downtown Springdale and beat up yokai. Yeah, sadly we don't have area cards anymore, but that's okay. Moving on through, we now unlocked patrol missions, which are by far the best way to befriend yokai, and we will be doing it for the rest of the game. Moving on though, we can go to the phone and accept the mission Lone Blaster. This mission makes us play as Usapion, a yokai who is truly American. Bro be reppin' the fucking Glock in this bitch. Anyways, after Burley comes in and defeats the Pelican for me, I can befriend Usapion. Usapion is actually pretty funny, because he's just an incredible yokai in this game. But because we scan QR codes, we can unlock the secret closet next to Slytherin, which allows me to befriend Usapion Racing Gear, Usapion GI Gear, Usapion Scuba Gear, and Usapion Football Gear. For majority of this section, we will be using Usapion, but racist. We can also put on Wigglin and Steppa, as they are really good in this game too, due to their skills that allow a permanent strength and speed boost. But, back on topic to the patrol missions, we unlocked only the areas that we played. But, there are a lot of yokai in each area, so I'll just list them all here. In the Uptown Springdale Patrol, I can get Mochismo, Walcappa, Negativuz, again, watching you say that, Blockade, Baku, Cricky, Minimo, Dismerelda, and Flushback. In the Blossom Heights Patrol, I can get Laffalata, Tattletale, Zappery, Slice and Rice, and Armsman. And in the Downtown Springdale Patrol, I can get Slush, Rith, 2 Cupistol, Chatterley, Tantroni, Signable, and Wide Awake. The last thing to do for now is to get the first prize reward, Bijophant, from the mission Blasters Clean Up the Baths. Now, everything seems straightforward so far, just a decent amount. But that's all about to change. Introducing everyone's favorite mechanic that we're forced to utilize, the Crank-a-kai, back in all its fucking glory. And it is honestly even worse than it was in the last two games combined with their base cranks. The reason is because the geniuses at level 5 decided that changing the prize pools of the fucking Crank-a-kai daily was a good idea! I have no idea who really did that, but thanks for making everyone's lives worse. What's funny is that this only really applies to the colored coins, so that's fun. However, we still have to crank those, despite all the chaos. What's worse is that there aren't really any sources that are 100% accurate on the polls in general. Like, I found a decent chunk of yokai that aren't even in the listings of specific coins. Not to mention, the wiki is also just wrong, because yes, the Brave Tribe yokai is very clearly in the orange coins. With this section, I'm going to try my best to be accurate. However, just like the Oni Crank-a-kai in 2, I could very well be wrong on what truly is available in this section. So, let me list the coins and yokai like usual for this series. In the red coins, I can get Blazion, 2 Chanson, B3NK1, Beetler, Cruncha, and Illuminat. In the yellow coins, I can get Blips, Alu, SB, Very Good Sir, Frosttail, and King Mara. In the orange coins, I can get Mimikin, Goruma, Tuffant, Mad Mountain, Rhinogon, Horn of Plenty, and Uber Geeko. In the pink coins, I can get Cincada, Naked Speed, Schmoopy, Frostina, Spellterrier, and Demona. In the green coins, I can get Lodo, Happy Air, Ol Saint Trick, Ol Fortune, Auntie Heart, and Unikirin. In the blue coins, I can get Come On Come On, Snow Betty, Count Zapaway, Agam, Count Cavity, and Ilor. In the purple coins, I can get Rockabelly, Langdian, Flumpy, Cheek Squeak, Grumples, Eterna, and Arachnia. In the light blue coins, I can get Hee Hee Heel, Chummer, Spemp, Bananos, Copperlead, Mermother, and Shadow Venant. In the 5-star coins, I can get Golden Yan, Dianyan, Wonder Nyan, and Robocap. In the special coins, I can get Snottle, Master Odin, Harry Berry, Topanyam, Robocoma, Jibacoma, 2 Castellius IIIs, Mirapo, and Washogun. Something to note is that there are fusion items in the coins as well, but the quote-unquote guide I made tells you where to get each if you're curious, as most are first prize rewards from the color coins or are from the vortex coins, and I traditionally don't mention them from the crank. And now it's time for the new coins introduced in this game and other coins different from the OG group. In the strength coins, I can get Ernaconda, Comain, Orcanos, Slamamander, Wobblewalk, Sproink, SV Snaggerjag, and Robanyan. In the full moon coins, I can get Seaweed Sensei, Dranchetta, Gutsy Bones, and Kabuking. In the region coins, all of them, I can get Grumpus Khan, Slumberhog, Samaril, Donkasand, Sumodon, Whateverist, Takuya Kid, Panja Pupil, and Happy Cane. Also, shoutouts to the people who were like, I didn't know who the fuck Happy Cane is, but I love Happy Cane. Listen, Happy Cane is goated, okay? I'm sorry. Happy Cane is just the goat. In the thrill coins, I can get a Pelican, Draconian, Pyrat, So Sorry, Confused, Nefarious, Negasis, and Daze. In the mystery coins, all three of them, I can get Slackaslash, Apak, Pookevil, Quakin, Bakulia, Papa Bolt, Dromp, Nurse Tungus, Reverse Set, and Screek. Now, there is something important that I have to mention that I just want to set since there's controversy around it. In the Yokai Watch games, there are QR codes that are unofficial and work as regular QR codes in-game. Some give unintended items, and that holds true with Yokai Watch blasters. However, there are problems with the idea of hacked QR codes for this challenge, as I want to do everything in an intended way. So, what's the best course of action here? Well, by scanning officially released QR codes, of course, which can be found online through trusted sources such as Level 5 themselves. However, there are a group of coins that most people think are illegitimate, being the Yokai specialty coins. These are coins that have a much higher chance of giving you the yokai that is in the name of the coin. However, some were officially released in the US through the Yokai Watch official YouTube channel through their anime recaps. However, the best resource would actually be from Japan, as they released a series of physical Busters medals, and a good majority of these actually do scan for yokai specialty coins. Looking at what official Busters medals exist, or B medals for short, we can actually scan a good majority of the specialty yokai coins. One thing to note about these medals though is that there are yokai who have physical medals that don't scan for yokai specialty coins. This is for two reasons. The first of which simply just being the fact that they don't have specialty yokai coins. The second reason is that they are the rare versions. These Rainbow Busters medals actually give great colored coins, which are colored coins but give a much higher first prize chance, which is good but are not the specialty coins we're after. Oop, I just slammed my fucking keyboard. That's funny. Ow, I hurt my finger. This is supposed to be like a fucking serious fucking talk here, and I'm like, because normally I like wave my hand around and I fucking just slam my fucking keyboard down. Is my keyboard okay? Okay, good. For proof, I'll link a video by Hokkaido, Japan that shows a decent amount of B medals with their QR codes, and you can scan them for yourself to see that you will get the specialty coin that was officially distributed depending on which medal you scan. Also to note, some were released internationally as well, which I didn't even know about, and I collected yokai medals. Regardless though, I've shown that the majority of these coins do indeed exist in a legitimate context. So, looking through the list of yokai that have official medals that can be scanned for specialty coins, or looking online at Level 5's officially released QR codes in their recaps, I can get Tanbo, Snartle, Reunite, Sergeant Burley, Gleam, Maximus N, Hovernyan, Matronyan, Smogmella, Static King, Miradox, Tengu, QB, Chimera, Endurofant, Frazzle, Castellius I, Rhinormus, Total Dude, Thornyan, Badanyan, Sailornyan, Komajiro, Pinky Poo, Blizzaria, Faux Kappa, Tungus, Scarasol, Super Hero, Hinomi, Pepion, Reversa, Mama Aura, Kieran, Carnaboy, Beelzebub, Eyesore, Weasel, Awe Evil, Nosers, Everfor, Arachnus, Noko, Dragonlord, Myrmidonna, Lady Longneck, Babylon, Venoct, Unfairy, Unkind, Untidy, and Unpleasant. Something to note here is that these are not all of the officially released coins, just the ones that we need for the medallion right now. So you can absolutely use these to get yokai you're struggling with in this crank section, and are also labeled on that quote-unquote guide that I usually do. We're not done yet with this stupid machine, as we still have one of my worst nightmares to ever exist back yet again. The fucking play coins. At least I learned that I don't have to switch over to Citrit or Azahar, because BizHawk does play coins actually pretty well, things considered. In the play coins, I can get Lionheart, Stop Yo, Cut and Cheese, Scritchy, Winona, and Merkle. Now we actually have a few yokai left to grab. For starters, in the Wayfarer Coliseum, yes, the Coliseum, not the Manor, I can get Jibanyan S, Komasan S, Komajiro S, Sir Nyansalot, and Maginyan. Next, I can complete all the yokai circles we can for that little side quest, but also the Triangle Tango specifically for Kelpakabana. The last thing to do is to reveal the legendaries Gilgaros and Slurpin. Side note, what the fuck did they do to the requirements for these two? Firstly, why is Taigappa replaced with Blizaria? She's not even a Crank exclusive. Second, why is Golden Yon replaced with Horde of Plenty? I don't fucking know, this shit's weird. Anyways, we still don't have evolutions yet, or fusions, so I can finish this section with 228 yokai in a time of 61 hours and 17 minutes. Now you may think we have Gutsy Bones as the boss to fight right now, but if you remember, we have the true challenge missions unlocked, which gives us a lot, and I mean a lot, of bosses to beat. In the Uptown Springdale Oni Orb hunts, I can beat Overluz and Devourer. In the Harrisville Oni Orb hunt, I can beat Super Gargaros, Super Wobblewalk, and Super Mass Mutterer. Barely. And in the Old Springdale Oni Orb hunt, I can beat Ultra Name Dead Time, Ultra Orcanos, and Ultra Hinozal. Yes, we can beat Ultra Hinozal at this point in the game. For some context, there are 3 different difficulties of bosses that I will make sure you remember later on, with Ultra being the most difficult, with bosses reaching the early 90s all the way over to the mid 100s, which is diabolical. And yes, Ultra Hinozal does reach that barrier, which is fucking crazy. Also, we need to beat Pink Emperor as a true challenge mission. You don't have to actually beat the stage, but rather just the first phase, as that adds him to the medallion, and his second form doesn't have an entry for some reason, so that's fair game. Anyways, we can continue the story to see KJ getting taken by a capsule from I wonder who. We make our way up to the school to see Gutsy Bones on the roof saying goodbye to the Crow. After beating him, we can get Komajiro to join our Blasters team, so there he is again. After teaching us the sickest dance to get laid, we get told to work with a veteran Blasters team, but first, we finally gain access to fusions and evolutions. And for choosing Popsicle first, we get a Snowstorm Cloak, which is the only way to get it at this point in the game. Fucking finally! We can go see who we're training with alongside. Turns out, both Mermaiden and Focappa's teams were assigned it, so we help both out. Also to note, I'm going to stop mentioning chapter cards to not ruin the surprise of the section, so that bit is dead now. Now something I want to note about this challenge is that most of the team we're using to beat bosses is almost done. I have 2 Tambos and Step Up for the main team, however Wiglin is a sub as of now for a yokai later on. Mermaiden and Focappa are rivals, so they're going to argue a lot, but Burley wants both teams for the special training. Before continuing with the training, I can get some yokai since we now unlocked the Breezy Hills Patrol mission. In the Breezy Hills Patrol, I can get Draggy, Dushu, Whatchagot, and Dazzabell. Now that's all of the wild spawns in this section, so we're done. Right? Well, not quite, as we just unlocked evolutions and fusions. Starting with the fusions like usual, I can use Slumberhog and the Goldfish Lantern to get Snortlehog, Samaril and the Gold Emblem to get Timekiller, Beetler and the General Soul to get Beetle, Cupistol and the Love Busters to get Casanova, Sumudon and the Vintage Parasol to get Yokozudon, Whateverist and the Terracotta Figure to get What Option, the Castellius III's together to get Castellius II, Castellius I and a Platinum Bar to get Castellius Max, Dazabel and Cupistol to get Bretel, Popsicle and the Snowstorm Cloak to get Chihuahua, Panjapupil and the Master's Lantern to get Panjapro, Hungramps and the Love Packed Rice Ball to get Hungorge, Happy Cane and the Red Hibiscus to get Starry Cane, Grumpus Khan and the Carved Bear to get Groupus Khan, Squeaky and the Horn to get Rory, Donkasand and the Dune Sand to get No Sankyu, and Takoya Kid and the Takoyaki Tray to get Takoyakin. There's also evolutions I can do here. I can evolve Slice and Rice into Flower Rice at level 29, Dewana into Namor at level 17, Wizat into Whozat at level 20, Tattletale into Tattlecast at a whopping level 11, bro. What? So Sorry into Balmanos at level 27, Ruffraff into Bad Dude at level 25, Hayden into Kateable at level 16, Negativuz into Moskeevil at level 17, Dimmy into Blandin at level 23, Droplet into Drizzle at level 22, Slush into All Hail at level 22, Mangy Mutt into Multi-Mutt at a whopping level 11 yet again. What? Noko into Bloominoko at level 31, and Fish Pickable into Rageon at level 22. And that is truly everything for this section. I finished this section with 273 yokai at a time of 68 hours and 22 minutes. Time here was definitely inflated by Oni Orb hunts for sure, as that is how you level up in this game. And also views! Yes, they make you pay for viewsing this time around, which is insane. I still cannot believe that at all. Something else that I can't believe is that Tattletale and Magimut seriously evolve at level 11. Do they just fucking misclick when typing in the 2 for 1 twice? I don't know, that's crazy to me. Continuing the story here lets us play through missions that are direct opposites of each other. We can go through with the Kappas to learn about battle items, and Mermaiden's team to learn about, I don't know, whatever the fuck she's teaching. And like Fokappa said earlier with how she uses everyone, she even uses his voice in this dialogue here, which is insane. Here, take a look. Training isn't over yet. Meow meow?
Yes.
What's that supposed to be? That's not your voice. Master Capuchon, you're going crazy.
Oh, my swirls!
That's not your voice! We know damn well what you sound like! What the fuck? Why are you making masculine grunts? Are you okay? He was sleeping on the bottom, and we went and woke him up.
Oh, no.
Ah, so that voice you heard of Catfish Pound Brother, it must have been SV Snagger J. The team of Kappas are holding him back. Did you just say do it? What the fuck? Why are you using full Kappa's lines? After the brawl against the Kappas, we returned back to the Blaster's house only to learn that we disturbed SV Snaggerjag at Catfish Pond. We head over to Breezy Hills to defeat him and chase him back. Then, we completely annihilate him there. We return home where Fokappa and Mermaiden fully make up only to go back to bickering again. This just sounds like a relationship. Anyways, we learn from our next client, Noko, that his friends all went missing in Shopper's Row. But before that, we can interact with the phone in order to unlock the next mission, which makes us play as Whisper in Flap Hop Plains in an alternate dimension. We go over to protect the Guardian Mirror from Mermaiden and Fokappa's teams before defeating the main team that we started with. We then go defeat the giant Wispocrates, which leads into the private Wispocrates giving us his yokai medal. We then snap back into reality only for Whisper to hand us his yokai medal. Yeah, so Blizzy simping for him really was his dream. Also, Whisper is one of the best yokai in the game, as his skill pairs well with Tambo in boosting the crit output. So now we can go to the first Shopper's Row mission to find the NPC Nokos. Also, something that I will do at the end is have a counter for how many Noko in days I came across at the end, just to see how rare those two really are through lots of hours of gameplay. But moving on, we get told that the 3 Noko brothers are still missing. But enough of the Nokos for now. We now unlock the Shopper's Row patrol missions, but also a hidden mechanic that we now get introduced to. Remember in 1 and 2 how we had watch rank progression? That is kinda back. Kinda. Only because there was no watch that will be ranking up. Instead, we get yokai from higher ranks added to the patrol missions, with the game not telling us such. So, I will make a note every time this happens, as it is pretty important to the challenge. In the Uptown Springdale Patrol, I can get Phalian and Toiletta. In the Blossom Heights Patrol, I can get Quit. In the Downtown Springdale Patrol, I can get Nagatha. In the Breezy Hills Patrol, I can get Bankei. And in the Shopper's Row Patrol, I can get Papa Windbag, Tengloom, and Grubsnitch. We also have some fusions to cover here. I can use Whatchagot and Papa Windbag to get Pride Shrimp, and Wide Awake and Tengloom to get All Nighter. Believe it or not, this is the whole section. I finished this section with 286 yokai in a time of 85 hours and 9 minutes. And the reason why it took so long is because this goofball forgot he got days from the crank section and not the patrol. So fuck me. Moving on though, I can go back to Shopper's Row to defeat the Mandarides. And if you recognize the name, that's because we gotta fight Slimeamander. Only this time, he's incredibly tiny? So we go to the school in Uptown to truly fight Slimeamander, coming from a puddle. After defeating Slimeamander, we learn from the OG Noko that the Noko brothers were enticed by some marshmallows. Okay, sure. He says that the yokai was a floating white yokai, and no one suspects Whisper for some reason. Like literally, bro is just asking for it. But moving on though, Master Miata appears in the Blaster's house and announces that he's dismissing the team and will only reinstate it if they find out what they're missing. Burley suggests that we go to Harrisville, as there are lots of Garguro sightings there. He also allows us to unlock the big boss missions, which are just bosses but slightly different with the regular difficulties. Earlier, I mentioned that there were different difficulties, being Super and Ultra, and these are where you would fight those. Something also to note is that there are missions with rank minimums needed to take on the mission. This is important to note for specifically the Ultra Big Boss missions, as they have a minimum of rank 10. Going into the first Harrisville mission, we have to save Harry Berry from being bullied by other yokai. My guy, this is just assault and battery. Get these motherfuckers on Judge Judy or something, like shit. Bro runs away and we chase him only for him to be bullied even more and more, until he realizes that we will not eat a fucking grizzly bear. Bro thanks us before helping us with our next mission, but first, we have encounters to grab as we just unlocked the Harrisville Patrol. In the Harrisville Patrol, I can get Edafly, Ilu, Gumpunzer, Suspicione, Scranny, and Drizelda. This, believe it or not, finishes this section with 293 yokai in a time of 86 hours and 35 minutes. Yes, sections are gonna be rolling by fast, as there aren't many yokai remaining. Which is good for me, as I don't have to lose my fucking mind on the most difficult encounters anymore. This is the part that is supposed to introduce optional bosses, as this is where we get the first mission for it. So after maneuvering through Shopper's Row, we can save a bullied Miropo. Can we seriously call this assault and battery? Like, please? Like, I don't want my bro... Whatever. Anyways, Miropo warps us to Mystery Way, where Goldie Bones is there and is saying goodbye to the Crow, which also leads into us easily destroying this man, like usual. Continuing the story, we can go collect meat from yokai in Harrisville. Pause. which is for some weird reason a regular item drop, and you have to pray that you get the item, which is ridiculous. We move over to the Harrisville school, where Harry Berry goes aggro and eats all the meat, and we easily destroy Bro because Bro sucks. Luckily, the ruckus caused Gargaros to appear, so we make our way over there and chase Gargaros over to Mount Middleton. After defeating him, Demuncher appears and noms on the Red Man.
Was that the bite of 87?
Also, I really appreciate the game literally forcing me to wait for him to die because he's on 0, even though Bro can just fucking die before Burly even finishes. Like, please, just fucking die already. Anyways, we defeat Demuncher, and then the Blasters team is reinstated by Master Miata, who set this up alongside Sergeant Burly because fuck me. Anyways, we're told to go on vacation to San Fantastico, and Chabanyan and Whisper get weirdly horny for Blizzy in this chapter introduction. And we're back to having really awkward story points to discuss! Yay! And for some weird reason, Whisper is just a piece of shit. Yeah. He's just a fucking piece of shit. It's just honestly really creepy, mainly towards another underage character in this game, which thankfully we don't get to that point, so we don't have to, deal with that, but still. He's also a team member that's goated on the team, so let's make fun of him more. And yes, we will bully the ever-living hell out of him because of it. I have no idea why they wrote him like this, but it definitely did not age well. Anyways, the Blasters Association sent us the fucking Oni Crankakai as a reward for beating the Demuncher. God damn it. So we'll go back to this very soon. We also get Whozat as a renovator for the Blasters house at least. Can Bro and Spirit me so I can forget how they wrote Whisper? Usapion is also here, and he tells us about the Moon Rabbit crew, which is a third Blasters team. This also starts the DLC content. So, earlier I mentioned that the Moon Rabbit crew is a content update, which at first doesn't sound too crazy for Yokai Watch games. I mean, normally they're just fucking nothing. However, this update actually adds new chapters to the game, which become accessible starting now. They aren't too crazy generally, but we will need to navigate them to as far as we can possibly go to finish the section. And yes, we are copying Star Wars now too, not just Ghostbusters. As if we weren't already. Moving on though, we can start the first San Fantastico mission, which makes us help out a bunch of yokai and really cuts into our vacation time. Like really. We return to the Blaster's house, where Whisper attempts? Question mark? To flirt with Blizzy, if you want to call it that. I'm personally calling this a threat. At this point, we've unlocked rank B spawns and patrols, not to mention San Fantastico as a patrol mission. Going in order, in the downtown Springdale patrol, I can get Dragon. In the Shoppers Row patrol, I can get Psynake. And in the San Fantastico patrol, I can get Enterfly, Hurchin, Waper, Bentover, and Shrook. You may think this is over, but we aren't done just yet. Firstly, we unlock the Momotaro Hunter mission, which is a mission where you are forced to play as Gargaros, defeating the Oni Hunters for Orkanos and Demona. Once we do, we'll learn that this was an acting gig for the Directator overall. By the way, I think this is genuinely one of the coolest and most frustrating missions, because it is really hard, and it used to be the only way to befriend the Oni Hunters. Emphasis on used. That's because the Moon Rabbit Crew expansion, in this, they made a sequel mission, which is where I'll be getting them. In this mission, we get introduced to Odyssey-nyan and Kintaro-nyan's teams, and the goal is to beat Orkanos directly. Now, you don't actually have to defeat Orkanos, as you can just leave early and still befriend the yokai, which is good, as it saves us time. Also, we get to choose the team we play as, which I'll specify for befriends. When picking Momon-nyan, I can get Odyssey-nyan and Kintaro-nyan. And when picking Kintaro-nyan, I can get Fezzen-nyan, Papinyan, Momonyan, and Chimpanyan. Now, if you thought we'd be done, we're not. You thought? We still have a couple of things left. To continue, we can finally get to one of my mortal enemies, the Oni fucking Crankakai. This little bastard from 2 returns in a somewhat easier faction. The main thing is that it costs Oni orbs, but a lot of Oni orbs, and specifically 10,000 Oni orbs for best odds. Yes, you can scale how many orbs you want to consume from this machine, which is super fun because this is not just a grinding simulator all over again. The downside though is that it factors in as your daily cranks, meaning that it's limited each day. Not to mention, you have to fucking save before that. I didn't mention this with the original Crankakai. I don't know why, I just forgot to put it in the script. But I'm gonna rant about this for a second. Why the fuck did level 5 decide, you know what, it's gonna be a good idea to put a save right before cranking the coin? Firstly, bro is acting like that fucking does anything, because you can just... Okay, so each coin is predetermined when you start your save. As soon as you start your save file, boom, the coin's predetermined. It literally does not matter if you need to save or not. Why did they add that there to begin with? They're just making me waste cranks for no reason. Whatever, I'm sorry. In the Oni crank, I can get Safinyan, Rubenyan, Robogramps, Dark Cubie, Robo-Mutt, Robo-Draggy, and 10 Essences of Evil. Now is a really cool part. At this point in the game, we have completed 10 yokai circles. Because of this, Bujinyan wants to join the team and therefore gets added to the total. There's also fusions. I can fuse Enterfly and Enafly to get Betterfly, Smogmella and the Essence of Evil to get Bad Smella, Faux Kappa and the Essence of Evil to get Mad Kappa, and Lady Longneck with the Essence of Evil to get Wrongneck. This finishes this section with 319 yokai and a time of 114 hours and 23 minutes. Now, the next 2 bosses are actually kind of cool, as they are version exclusives all in one mission, which is really neat. In this mission, we can take on Super Ruby's J and Super Hardy Kaun. I don't know why I fucking paused on that, whatever. Also, here's this clip I have no words for. Dead. Whisper? You didn't mean to tell me that you just wasted your important fucking move on a fucking patrol eye that has 0 HP! Did you seriously do that, Whisper? What the fuck is wrong with you? Whisper! You could have thrown the whole fucking run! Whisper, look at me. Look at me, piece of shit. Don't fucking do that again. Next, I can go to San Fantastico again, where we defeat the gang attacking a Flushback. This Flushback says that he can take us to the legendary Otohime in the Sea Ring. We go there and, turns out, Otohime is Tattle Terror, who easily goes down. We return back upset that Tattle Terror was Otohime, but then Flushback returns and hands us a Pandora's box from Tattle Terror. We open it and our boys become better looking than I am. That's... Now that I think about it, that's a little sad, I'm sorry. We cut to an interview with Miradox, who immediately gets hired on the spot because he can time travel. But first, we have an important mission we can do. However, it does provide spoilers for the movie. Yokai Watch the movie, 5 Tales from the Beyond. Meow. So, spoiler warning here and throughout the entirety of the video. To start, We see Jibanyan and Whisper waking up a yokai in the Blaster's house. Turns out, Nate fucking died. Yeah, this is Nate, who fell into a manhole. While Nate is distraught, they make him go on a Blaster's mission. After falling out of bounds, they stumble upon Katie, who stumbled upon Terror Time while trying to go to the hot springs. We follow her, and Nate, or excuse me, Fu2, makes us follow her into the women's bath. Turns out, Tattletale is there, and we destroy her. While Fu2 is depressed that he'll never see Katie again, he gives us his yokai medal, adding him to the total. Now we can go to Old Springdale, with the first mission letting me get Pitapat. After beating the last group of yokai, Hovernyan and his crew appear and fight us. After brutally destroying him, we can get a first prize reward for Predictable. Hovernyan apologizes for attacking us before asking for our help in the past, but first, we unlocked the Old Springdale Patrol mission. In the Old Springdale Patrol, I can get Tsushiyama, Boyclops, Nomi, Smogling, a second Predictable, Mermaiden, Face Off, Grainpaw, Contrarioni, Mudmunch, and Palisol. Also in the first mission, I got 2 Fergus and Tablapa. We're not done just yet, as we have to do the Ogrela's mission. After he summons his club from the literal heavens, we destroy him in the Sea Ring. Now, we also have to clear the regular Big Boss mission for Ogrelas to unlock Super Ogrelas. Super Ogrelas allows me to get a second prize reward for the Gigahertz Orb. Afterwards, I can go beat the regular Big Boss mission for Tattletale to unlock Super Tattletale. Super Tattletale allows me to get a second prize reward for the Cursed Journal. And now it's time for everyone's favorite part of these sections, the fusions. I can view Signable with the Gigahertz Orb to get Signaton, Predictable with the Ethereal Water to get Smashable, Toiletta with the Cursed Journal to get Foiletta, Tablapa with the Essence of Evil to get Grublappa, Mudmunch with the Essence of Evil to get Madmunch, Palisol with the Essence of Evil to get Shamisol, Nomi with the Essence of Evil to get Nomine, Predictable with the Essence of Evil to get Defectable, Fergus with the Essence of Evil to get Fergus, and Mermaiden with the Essence of Evil to get Scare Maiden. I can also evolve Fergus into Ferdinand at level 28. This finishes this section with 348 yokai at a time of 123 hours and 6 minutes. Continuing the story, we help Hovernyan defeat the bad yokai before he tells us that yokai from the Infinite Inferno are on the loose. This is actually pretty cool, as this is the first time where some of these bosses are beatable during the story. We have 3 options here, but specifically 2 of these are good. Personally, I prefer Idra here, as Idra is significantly easier than the other ones. After defeating Idra's eyes, we make our way to the school where Idra emerges from a puddle. After defeating him, we can fight his regular Big Boss mission to unlock Super Idra. Super Idra allows me to get a second prize Memo back. This allows me to use Flushback with the Memo back to get Vacuum Mori. This finishes this section with 350 yokai, and I would say the time, but I'm not sure since my dumbass did not save, but it's whatever. I can move on to beat Hoggles and Styxmarks the 6th before we start cheering about how the wicked yokai are beaten. And no, I don't mean actual wicked yokai, I mean wicked yokai. Why do they word it like this? I don't know. But Hovernyan appears and tells us that Wobblewalk was set free from the Infinite Inferno. We go to Flat Pot Plains, where Wobblewalk literally comes rolling in. My brain really wants to say that this is a teenage Wobblewalk, and acts completely different from a super creepy entity because of which. So there's my little theory there. Yes, I'm saying the one that we see in the present in Yokai Watcher 1 and 2 is an adult Wobblewalk. Yeah. Once we beat him, he warps to the Infinite Inferno, where we destroy him yet again. When we return, we learn that Habernian made the Red Cat Corps and White Dog Squad teams. Then, he hands us his medal, but remember, we already have him. We cut to Master Nyata inviting us to compete in the King of Blasters tournament, where all the best teams come to compete. The reward for winning is a trip to BBQ, which gets Shibanyan and Komasan excited. Wow, foreshadowing. But before any of that, we have encounters to snag, as we now have unlocked the A-rank spawns. In the Blossom Heist Patrol, I can get Timid Devil and Walden. In the Breezy Hills Patrol, I can get Casanono. In the Shoppers Row Patrol, I can get Bruff. In the San Fantastico Patrol, I can get Insomni. And in the Old Springdale Patrol, I can get Null and Slitherriff. We've also just unlocked the Flat Pot Plains Patrol mission, which hosts Zero as an encounter. And hold on, I'm gonna rant here for a second. Firstly, no hate to anyone who's worked on the wiki and other sources, but why are so many sources online incorrect about yokai spawns? Like, for example, if you go to the wiki page for Null, you will find out that he has literally nothing about him. And if you go to where he's supposed to be, you will find literally nothing. If you go to the community spreadsheet for his location data, it says that he's in San Fantastico, which is not true. He's in Old Springdale. Pointless rambling aside, I finished this section with 360 yokai and a time of 128 hours and 42 minutes. We can then go over to the Sea Ring, where we destroy all the other teams and Robanyan himself. The next round involves beating bosses, including SV Snaggerjack, who is literally cheating by being on Mermaiden's team, but whatever. We can then head over to the school to defeat Slamamander and Gutsy Bones yet again, only to get a report of Mass Mutterer causing havoc in Chopper's Row. Once he talks to Sam, we defeat him in Flower Road. When we return, we learn that we've been disqualified from competing in the King of Blasters, which sucks. But then we hear a Blasters SOS, which is an emergency call. As it turns out, the Blasters teams that were competing at the King of Blasters all had their energy sucked out, by the Cream Puffs. We then save them and nail this beautiful clip before someone hijacks our communication line. This is Wisp's Cream. No, not the Wisp Mellow Man, he's the OG boss. Here we have his localized form. Just ignore American Wibble Wobble. Anyways, he tells us his plan before Signaton tells us that he needs parts from the future to make the ultimate weapon. But first, we can go and defeat more wicked yokai in Flat Pot Plains. Again, not wicked tribe yokai, yokai that are being evil. Why do they keep wording it like this? This is stupid. Anyways, I can go to Old Springdale to take on Orkanos again, who keeps spinning right round, baby, right round. We easily destroy the Beyblade before going to Harrisville with Coach Naked Speed to take on Glitzy Bones in the Gold Gleaming Highway. After annihilating him, we can go to Breezy Hills to take on the White Yokai from the Yokai World. Yes, they are back. And that means that we need to head over to the Yokai World, where the yokai that is buggier than the whole Caden Lion appears, the Kraken, only for him to be incredibly easy to beat. He then goes on an LSD trip and transforms into his second form, before easily destroying him too. And yes, Squiddly Diddly did not age very well. Also, this is as far as we can go before beating the game. Before fighting the final boss, I had a count of 363 yokai, time of 130 hours and 9 minutes. We then head to the future, where we defeat a bunch of robot yokai with the help of Robanyan, who upgraded to Robanyan F. After collecting the parts from them, we can head to downtown Springdale, where Wisped Cream comes fee-fi-foing his goofy way up here. After defeating him, he bursts into many Cream Puffs. Then, after destroying the majority of them, we can chase down the last Cream Puff, who manages to escape. But then, out of nowhere, Blizzy and Burly come in with the fucking Blasters Mobile and takes us over to the Excellent Tower. We waltz our way up there before having my personal favorite cutscene play. It honestly is a really good tone setter for the fight, as it's slow, quiet. It works so well with the elevator. I'm keeping that in. Elevator ride. I said elevator. Hang on. Stop the footage. What the fuck came out of my mouth there? Evelator. Bro, Evelator? Sorry. Elevator. That, by the way, nobody likes this elevator ride that they forced you to go on in Yokai Watch 2. And they changed it into whipped cream emerging from the marshmallow goose stuff? Whatever that is. It looks sick. I love it. Anyways, we destroy whipped cream and have the dialogue end. Right? Right? Nah, bro. The dialogue kept playing the whole time. I don't know if anybody has experienced this, as this glitch is something that I haven't even seen before and couldn't find anything online about, but I don't know. I tried to keep it as long as possible because it's funny. Here, have a listen to my demise. See? Welcome to hell! Anyways, Whipped Cream tries to regenerate himself before Robonyan 28 appears. He shoots rockets at Whipped Cream and it sends him blasting off again to the moon. And he's dead, marking the end for Whipped Cream. We get a celebration outside for conquering him, which we were very clearly the ones to do so, and they totally didn't see Robonyan 28 doing the heavy lifting here at all. While the credits play an admittedly really good song, we still get the dialogue playing, and if I play any of it, this video will cease to exist, so we're not having that here. No whisper, no ideas for the brain-rotted children. So that's everything, right? Brother, I've done this bit 2 other times for the Yokai Watch POCs. We know damn well that there is post-game. After they hit us with a clean dab, we can head to the Blaster's house, where we have goodies. For starters, we get gifted a Komo-san B suit by the Blasters Association. We also learn that Robonyan 28 is actually Robonyan F, just upgraded. Speaking of upgrading, we are now rank 10, meaning that we can take on Ultra bosses, even though we could already take on 3 Ultra bosses from Oni Orb hunts. Also, the dialogue glitch is still going at this point, which is crazy. For the record, that goes away after a hard reset of the game, not a soft reset. Also, we can now head over to the YBA Hall at will, which is pretty neat. But before that, we can go to the costume closet to get Komo-san B. What did they do to bro? But now we've unlocked S-rank spawns and patrols. So, in the Breezy Hills Patrol, I can get Azure Dragon. In the Harrisville Patrol, I can get Uncle Infinite. In the San Fantastico Patrol, I can get Swash. And in the Flat Pot Plains Patrol, I can get Tai Kappa. Now we can head over to the YBA Hall, where Bujin Young gives us instructions on how to use insignias to see if the statue myth is real or not. We can also talk to Mr. E to learn about VIP linking. For this challenge, VIP linking is completely fair game, since you don't need another player to do it, just save data. And even then, you don't need save data or update data to do it. As long as you have the other game and do the Blaster's link, you can VIP link. The first thing to do here was to go to Seaweed Sensei's shop, which has different goods every day. Say Seaweed Sensei's shop 10 times fast, I dare you. But the pool that we want are the fusion items specifically, so literally every fusion item in this section is from here. Now it's time for yet another gacha machine, because of course, we needed more. If we talk to Hainomi, we can get a VIP coin a day. This is for the VIP crank. The VIP crank is a broken crank that has materials for decades, but it also houses some needed stuff. In the VIP crank, I can get Total Demon, Eminyon, and a Golden Ball. Eminyon lets me reveal a yokai circle that gives me Robonyan F. Now, I should mention the Golden Balls here, as they are very important for this challenge. There are 5 Golden Balls that are rewarded to the player by doing specific actions, and these net us good rewards. The second one can be gotten by talking to Sergeant Slug a bunch of times. The third time can be gotten from buying, I think, 100,000 Oni Orbs worth of good stuff from the VIP shop. Before continuing with the Golden Balls, we need to get a yokai from the very last patrol mission, the VIP Patrol, which is a patrol that houses rare yokai daily, with some that we need. In the VIP Patrol, I can get Melanyon, Kiwinyon, Arachniville, and Grapenyon. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban me for saying that yokai's name. Arachniville actually hands us a golden ball once befriending him, which closes our ball hunt short by 1, since it's locked behind 2 bosses. Speaking of bosses, we actually have to go to Old Springdale to encounter Devourer, as he takes the soul of a Gargaros.
Was that the bite of 87?
So we destroy Devourer before we continue the post-game's story. We head back to Old Springdale to take on the wicked executives. Going back into the stage allows us to befriend not only a duplicate Unkind, but also Unkeen. We still have some wild encounters to get, or should I say prizes, because one of the first prizes for Demuncher and Devourer are, well, Demuncher and Devourer respectively. Now, these missions are incredibly difficult, as they are, well, level 102 and 112 respectively. Yeah, they are higher level than you could ever dream of. But also you need Ultra Orbs to access them. Luckily, the physical Busters medals for the big bosses provide their Ultra Orbs for the majority of them, including the ones we need, which is neat. The best way to go about this is to get a duplicate Flamurice and get drops from regular Orcanos to get the Ultra Oni Smasher Black. Luckily, I was able to crank out enough flashy Mutter Change and Ultra Orcano Spikes. So that's all. So I don't know what the fuck I just said, but I'm too far in the take to not want to keep it, so I'm keeping that in. But the thing that I meant to say was that we have to grind Super Orcano Spikes. Once doing that, I can get Oni Smasher Ultimates. Also, something to note are the boss auras, which make Ultra Demuncher easier. Beating a specific boss will net you a boss aura depending on what boss you fight. Not all have them, but Demuncher does. So, by beating regular Glitzy Bones, you can get Demuncher aura. This makes Ultra Demuncher a somewhat cakewalk, allowing me to get the first prize Demuncher as a reward. The next boss isn't so easy, as it's Ultra Devourer. He doesn't have any boss aura, so you just have to go in and pray. Of course, you could build a good comp team, but I ain't got time for all that. After a while, and also pulling a Devourer soul, I can get Devourer as a first prize reward. Of course, Devourer of all yokai is gonna be a bitch to me in this game. Also, I can reveal Spoilerina in the medallion. Yeah, I think he might have forgotten that legendary yokai exist. To be fair though, we haven't gotten one since the first section, and we aren't getting another one. And now we have fusions left. I can use Chanton with the legendary blade to get Sheen, Chanton and the cursed blade to get Snee, No Way and the Keystone to get Impasse, Komajiro and the Swirly Soul to get Komiger, Sandma with the Sand Suit to get Mr. Sandma, and Hydabat with the Comfy Closet to get a Bodabat. This finishes this section with 386 yokai and a time of 146 hours and 3 minutes. Yeah, I got thankfully lucky with those two first prizes, which is pretty good. After defeating Venox and Total Dude's teams, we can defeat a bunch more robots before a gate starts opening. It's Arnold, Robonyan 28, Terminator theme and all. After defeating Robonyan 28, we learn that the original Blasters team was Sergeant Burley, Mr. Happier, Boss Signaton, and Blizzy, who challenges us. After beating them, Master Nyata appears and also gets beaten. Sergeant Burley says that he has no more things to teach us before handing us his yokai medal, but remember, we've already befriended him. This mission that we just beat is actually how you befriend some other yokai. Going back in, I can get Master Nyata and Blizzy. As a note, Blizzy doesn't have her own medallion page or entry, but she does get 1 in 3 in other games like Puni Puni, so I'm inclined to add her to the challenge, but feel free to not do so if you attempt it. It just means that the number at the end has to increase by 1, because the medallion ends at... Actually, I'm not sure. Probably should have wrote this down in the script, but fuck it, we do it live. How many yokai are in Yokai Watch Blasters? Let's go to the wiki. By medallion number. You know, this gives me more of an interaction with you all, so I'm completely cool with having this here. 470. So it'd be out of 471 in total if you want to have a percentage, or have a percentage increase. But, speaking of numbers, I just finished this section with 389 yokai in a time of 147 hours and 43 minutes. We can head over to the Cat Cradle mission, who got even creepier than Wobble Walk for some reason. Anyways, after we defeat the most nerfed boss in existence, we get access to the Lucky Crankicot, which is even worse than it was in 2. So, unlike 2, where you can just crank it infinitely per day, it actually counts towards your total cranks for the day, just like the Oni crank. Also, the Lucky Cranker coins are super scarce. Of course, the 5 Wicked Executives give you a Lucky Cranker coin, which is useful in the yokai circles. Also, they can be cranked to the VIP crank, specifically the Lucky coins, not... Also, did I say crank? Whatever, it's funny. Yes, I said cranked. You can crank a fucking coin. And you're statistically unlikely to get what you want immediately with the coins you've gathered. In order to grind more, you're gonna need to fight Ultra Robotnik 28, who has a first prize chance of dropping them. You can fight Wisp Cream for his aura, but beyond that there isn't a whole lot to upgrade to fight the level 135 Robotnik 28. Yes, he is that level, Jesus Christ. But after a long time, and thanks to RNGesus, from the Lucky Crankikai, I can get Robonoko and Darkenyon. Robonoko lets me reveal a yokai circle that gives me Jetnyon. This finishes this section with 393 yokai in a time of 160 hours and 18 minutes. And now we can continue the Moon Rabbit Crew story. After clearing through many teams, we can fight Super Demuncher and Super Devourer at the same time for their final hurrah. After beating them, we get to go straight to the moon, where Captain Thunder appears. After beating him, a satellite shoots rockets at him, and it reveals that not only is he dual-wielding now, he's also fucking ripped. We destroy his second form and destroy the moon. Yeah, so, as it turns out, this was for a film directed by the Directator, so we don't actually get to go to the moon. Nor did we. Because of the destruction of Captain Thunder, we got an Usapion B-suit, which we can equip immediately. We get the special phrase of space, which we won't know until later, and yeah, that's about the whole section right there. I finished this section with 396 yokai and a time of 160 hours and 38 minutes. Yeah, this is gonna go by very quickly. But now it's time for a bit of a grind. If you remember earlier at the YBA Hall, you would know that we need to attach white insignias to the white dog statue to see if a myth is true. But you may be asking how we can do this, since they're gotten primarily through playing with other White Dog Squad players. But I did say primarily, as you can get 100 at a time by beating any Ultra boss. And if you don't have enough at this point, just beat Ultra Gutsy Bones over and over again. He's really easy. Once getting enough though, you can spend the next 10 real-world days adding insignias to the statue, since you're capped at placing 100 a day. But once you do, the statue will break and reveal the boss, Swirlius Omai, who you actually get to play as, which is really cool actually. After destroying the Red Cat statue, it reveals a path and unlocks a mission for us to do. That mission is Red Paw's mission, who you can't beat since we need to play with at least one more White Dog Squad player to play it all. However, if we go to Bison Burley in the VIP room, he will have single-player versions of Red Paws and Swirlius Omai's missions that we can beat. Choosing the Red Paws mission, we go down the pole and open the holy doors to reveal Red Paws. After defeating him, we can choose the Swirlius Omai mission. After going down the pole and opening the doors, we can beat Swirlius Omai. After beating both missions, Bison Burley gives us a golden ball as a reward, which is the last one we need. Cranking these from Hinomi, we can get a beautiful prize while Red Paws and Swirlius Omai are literally just vibing in the back. Can we get this in Fortnite, please? The prize we get is Starry Noko, who we can add to the medallion. This finishes this section with 399 yokai and a time of 161 hours and 25 minutes. Afterwards, we can do the next mission and take down Super McCracken 1 and Super Dame Deadtime again before fighting both Super McCracken 2 and Super Dame Demona at the same time. For the record, we needed to beat Dame Demona for this section. Miradox then tells us that a yokai destroyed Robotnik 28, We go to the future only to find out that Robonyan 3000 did. After we destroy him in return, we return to the Blaster's house, where Spoilerina literally descends from the ceiling. She tries to spoil what we're doing next before Very Good Sir appears and stops her from doing so. He says that the next part of the game is spoilers for the same movie that I mentioned earlier during Futu's mission. Yokai watched the movie 5 Tales from the Beyond. Meow. The next mission is at the resort Waiha. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce that, but we're rocking with it anyway. Where we learn from Whisper that the second in command of the yokai world, Zazzle, prohibited connection between the human world and the yokai world. I guess more realm, because world is in a different context here, but whatever. Then a yokai appears who asks if they should be really stopping the prohibition. The Blasters say that they protect everybody before he disappears. They head to the resort Waiha, that's a goofy name, by plane to be greeted by Duke Doggy and Aristocat, who shit-talk the hell out of the Blasters, before they transform into the bosses Duke Drooly and Elicticat. Then the chairman appears, looking straight out of Final Fantasy VII. Knockoff Sephiroth, Zazzle, transforms into his boss form before fighting us at the same time. After defeating all 3 of them, Zazzle transforms into Zazzlemare. After defeating Zazzlemare, the yokai from earlier appears and tells him to stop. Zazzle name drops Bro as the Lord Enma. Fucking finally! We've heard of this man since the first game. He's here. Let's go! We return to the Blaster's house, where Lord Enma appears and asks us to complete his trials. After defeating the 3 Super Oni, he makes us fight Super Wobblewalk and Super Cat Cradle. Afterwards, he says that he might consider joining us. After beating it again, I get Lord Enma on my first try. This finishes this section with 406 yokai and a time of 162 hours and 12 minutes. And just like that, we have befriended every possible yokai we can. So now we have the bosses that give us nothing in return. For starters, we can start Hinozal's regular mission, as we need to clear it in order to unlock another boss. He summons Downtown Springdale with code before being annihilated. He warps to his office, where we easily destroy him. To note here, there are versions of this game where you can actually befriend the employees for some reason. They don't count, and that is a glitch, as you're not supposed to have them at all. Same goes with bosses that don't have this issue. Similar to not Bad Smeller, but, you know, Bug Smeller. After beating him, Sergeant Slug tells us about Extreme Mode, which doesn't exist. I think they were trying to say Ultra Mode, but didn't change his dialogue. Also, I love the lack of a space in between tried and the quotation mark for super. Anyways, we can go over to start the Hinozal Awoken mission, where we have to fight Hinozal? After beating Hinozal, he warps to his office, where he literally goes Super Saiyan. After defeating him, we can go take on Kabuking at the Kaibuki Theater. After beating him, well, actually, I can safely say, at this point, that this challenge is fully complete. I finished this challenge with 408 yokai in total, and with a final time of 162 hours and 35 minutes. So that's the run. Just like the last video, here are all of the yokai that I could not get in this run. For starters, Pandanoko, like usual, isn't available because of the Street Pass block once again. Next up are the multiplayer only yokai, meaning that these yokai are gotten only when playing with Red Cat Core players or White Dog Squad players only, respectively. These yokai include Gargaros, Ogrelas, Rubius J, and Hardy Hound in their befriendable forms. Next are the yokai that require fighting every single boss in order to unlock. So those include Bison Burly as a befriendable yokai and Shogun King as a boss yokai. Also, we couldn't fight Swirlius Gold this run due to us not being able to complete the Red Paws story mission. The last group of yokai are the yokai that are fully version exclusives that are befriendable or fightable. The befriendable ones include Panel, Undi, Katana, Katanana, Hisfit, Sir Berker, Minochi, Helmsman, Corkton, Maximus K, Kapunki, Elu, Infor, Flengu, Dilemma, Daramacho, Nogo Kart, Mistank, Lead Balloon, Spelton, Lava Lord, Scalabella, Jumbelina, Orignon, Strabinyan, Watermelonyan, Rudy, Chippa, Raillight, Roland, Doubles, Ache, Pain, Belfry, Yoink, Gimme, You Do It, Nerd, Gush, Peckpocket, Robin U, Cerberus, Sandy, Crunger, Tunatic, Irewig, Firewig, Almi, and Shabanyan B. Also, because of version exclusives, there are legendaries that we could not obtain because of them. These legendaries include Shogunyan, Komashura, Elderbloom, Professor, and Dan Doodle. Lastly, the beatable boss yokai that we could not fight due to version exclusivity literally just includes Golden Claws. And that's everything we couldn't get in this run. Also, if you're curious, earlier I mentioned how I would make a count of how many Noko and days I encountered throughout the entirety of the challenge. And in total, I encountered 5 Nokos and 2 Dazes, with one of each being from Oni Orb hunts. That goes to show just how rare these two truly are. Before I leave you all for next time, I need to do some shoutouts. Firstly, I want to shout out Generic, Coral Yummy, and Mega Solar Flames, as well as the Yokai Watch speedrunning Discord, like usual, for helping me out with this challenge, as I am a complete idiot when it comes to blasters, but now at least I'm not a dumbass completely in this game. Second, I want to shout out the Yokai Watch Blaster spreadsheet, which I'll link in the description below, as it was very helpful when it comes to researching for this challenge. Shout out to the Sergeant Burley for keeping his dialogue and annoying the hell out of me, even after beating Whipped Cream. I'd also like to thank the developer who thought it would be such a good idea to make Lucky Crank a Coin so hard to get. Seriously, that's really appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Hopefully, I will have 3 done this year, and a consistent enough schedule, and as always, I'll see you all later. Peace.
Was that the bite of 87?